Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for making the time for this briefing. We do apologize for our slightly delayed start. This briefing has been called today to announce primarily the results of the additional members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC Women's League. My name is Kusela Digo. I am the convener of the SABC Entities Communications Subcommittee Coordinator. Present today is the newly elected leadership of the Women's League. We're honored to have amongst us Comrade President Sisisi Tolashe, President of the ANC Women's League. Seated on my right is the Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Nokuthula Nqaba. Next to her is the Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Dainapule. And seated at the far end is Comrade Treasurer General, Comrade McQueen Letsoha Matai. Also present with us is the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of the conference, Umama Comrade Nandima Yatula Khoza, and seated next to her, the CEO of Elections, Comrade Buntle. But I acknowledge each and everybody who is present here today. Maybe without wasting any time, let me invite Comrade President just to deliver a few words before she hands over to the Electoral Commission. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, my officials of the ANC Women's League, the hosting province leadership, Gauteng, Comrade Telisa, and your team, the most important team that is led by Comrade Nandi, as well as Sis Buntle, the CEO of a very progressive organization that forever works with us as the ANC and all the ANC structures, media houses, everybody, good morning. Good morning. Indeed, you are coming from a very successful 13th ANC Women's League National Conference that took place the last weekend. We are defining it as the most successful conference because it took only 1 year for the ANC Women's League National Task Team, led by Comrade Baleka, our veteran, tried and tested leader, to prepare for this conference. We can safely call it a resounding breakthrough kind of an event that is going to carry the ANC Women's League forward. However, it is with heavy heart that the African National Congress Women's League start this briefing, having recently learned of the passing of Comrade Pelele Ngcobo, who was one of the delegates to the 13th ANC Women's League National Conference. Comrade Ngcobo met her untimely departure in a tragic accident traveling home from the conference yesterday, the 24th of July, 2023. The ANC Women's League conveys its most sincere condolences to the family of Comrades Pelele and prays for their strength and healing during this difficult time of grief. We can call on all of our members and the rest of the country to keep her family in the prayers. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, as we all know, the ANC Women's League convened the conference. Thousands of women belonging to ANC Women's League branches converge under a very difficult time because we have a very harsh winter that really was not so kind to our comrades. However, the conference was meant to the advancing a decisive action towards the full liberation and emancipation of our women. This is a theme that was designed having understand where we are coming from, being able to articulate where we are, and together be able to agree on where we want to go. Throughout the conference, we dived deep into critical issues affecting our fellow women in our diverse communities, from gender-based violence and food security to economic empowerment and the fight for equality. Our discussion has been marked by purpose and determination. However, due to time constraints, the ANC Women's League 13th National Conference didn't conclude its business. As a result, a decision was taken to adjourn the National Conference in order to convene it at a later time to determine by newly elected National Executive Committee. Comrade Chair, before we call on Electoral Committee to announce the results to the additional members of the NEC, we once more would like to express our gratitude to all branches and structures of the ANC Women's League, staff, to the conference, service providers, and yourselves, colleagues, especially the media group, your participation in our national conference. You were true independent media houses. We must appreciate and congratulate you. To the delegates, thank you for carrying with grace and respect the responsibility of being representative of not only your branches at the conference, but each and every woman and members of the LGBTQ+A community. In our country, in the words of the founding member of the South African Native National Conference, present today, African National Congress, and founding president of the Bantu Women's League, the forerunner of the ANC Women's League, Umama Charlotte Maxeke, this work is not for yourself. Chairperson, I now invite the Electoral Commission led by Comrade Nandi Mayatula to announce the additional members to the National Executive and call upon those who have been elected to always be members on duty to the women of our nation. We should be their beacon of hope and advocate of their aspiration. The 2024 upcoming national elections demand our active involvement, and we shall mobilize with vigor to secure a decisive victory for the African National Congress. I thank you.
Thank you very much to the President of the ANC Women's League for inviting us, the Election Subcommittee, to present the report of the conference of the ANC Women's League. Allow me to greet the leadership, our President, our Deputy President, our Secretary General, our Deputy Secretary General, our Treasurer, and allow me also to greet the leaders of the ANC Women's League in all structures of the movement, the convener of the media subcommittee, Comrade Kusela, thank you very much. Members of the media, the CEO of Elections Agency, the members of the subcommittee of the electoral subcommittee of the ANC Women's League Conference. I'm going to take you just to remind ourselves on the results of the officials of the ANC Women's League, which were already announced at the conference, just to remind ourselves. And we all remember that we now have a president of the ANC Women's League, our sister, our mother, Comrade Sisisi Dulashe. We now also have our deputy president of the ANC Women's League, our mother, our sister, Comrade Lungi Kabashe. And we now have our Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, our sister Lydia Murwane Zita. So my sincere apologies, I withdraw that. We welcome now our Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Nokutula Ngaba. That's the correct one. Please pardon us, we didn't have enough sleep, as you all know. We only finished last night. Let me also remind ourselves that we now have the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Dina Odaina. Pule. Yes. And we now have our Treasurer General, Comrade, our sister, McQueen Litsuha Matai. And thank you very much once more. We sincerely are grateful to have our officials that have been elected by the conference. Allow me now, a president of the ANC Women's League, to announce the additional members of the ANC Women's League. I'm going to start with a statistical report of the subcommittee of the conference. The total eligible voters were 3,065, as we all remember. The total votes that were cast were 2,055, as we all remember. The total spoiled votes were 78. The total votes that people that abstained from voting, the abstentions were only 1, and the percentage turnout of the additional members, the voting for these additional members, was 67%, because, as you all remember, people were very tired. The buses had to leave and transport our delegates to, as far as Western Cape, KZN, etc., etc. But you'll remember that the turnout with the officials was 97%. Thank you, President. I will now present the names of the additional members of the African National Congress Women's League. And number 1 on the list is Comrade Apiri Johanna, and she got 1,022 votes. Number 2 on our list of the additional members is Comrade Majodina Pemi. So I'm starting with the surname and ending with the name. Comrade Majodina Pemi received 969 votes. The third additional member is Comrade Buiks, or Buikes, pardon me for the spelling or the pronunciation, Buikes Sandra, and she received 962 votes. The fourth additional member is Comrade Faku Princess, and she received 894 votes. The fifth additional member is Comrade Hani Vuiwe, and she received 782 votes. The sixth additional member is Comrade Chwete Pem, and she received 760 votes. The seventh additional member is Comrade Governor Maggie, and she received 731 votes. The eighth additional member is Makakula Wali Mita, and she received 685 votes. The ninth additional member is Pego Sheila Tembalam, and she received 683 votes. The 10th additional member is Petra Popi, and she received 679 votes. The 11th additional member is Mvana Nonkosi Queenie, and she received 674 votes. The 12th additional member is Comrade Mukwena Popi, and she received 672 votes. 672 votes. The 13th additional member is Maluka Lirato, and she received 661 votes. The 14th additional member is Peacock Patricia, and she received 641 votes. The 15th additional member is Shongwe Tandi, and she received 672 640 votes. The 16th additional member is Lilaka Josephine, and she received 638 votes. The 17th additional member is Shiba Busisiwe, and she received 636 votes. The 18th additional member is Sokanyile Tokozile, and she received 634 votes. The 19th additional member is Mchweni Tsipane Refilwe, and she received 629 votes. The 20th additional member is Sibia Dudu, and she received 622 votes. Do we say the 21st? Yeah, the 21st. Number 21 is better. Additional member is Lisuma Maina, and she received 617 votes. Number 22 additional member is Mtolo Jili Nombuso, and she received 605 votes. Additional member number 23 is Muhlala Tabita, and she received 601 votes. The additional member number 24 is Muyilwa Buitumelo, and she received 599 votes. Additional member number 25 is Nkomo Ralihuku Nomantu, and she received 589 votes. Additional member number 26 is Mabuya, Dr. Mabuya Mamiki, and she received 585 votes. Additional member number 27 is Sibidla Ntombikaise, and she received 585 votes. The additional member number 28 is Mahlatsi Dibulelo, and she received 582 votes. Additional member number 29 is Lihwase Didimalo, and she received 578 votes. Additional member number 30 is Ndlangisa Nodada Busisiwe, and she received 573 votes. Additional member number 31 is Mgidlana Pumla, and she received 566 votes. Additional member number 32 is it Magoma or Mahoma? Magoma, yes, Magoma Punki, and she received 560 votes. Additional member number 33 is Murudi Huarutwe, and she received 548 votes. Additional member number 34 is Polwane Rineilwe, and she received 529 votes. Additional member number 35 is Bukiwe Fanta, and she received 527 votes. Additional member number 36 is Swartz Benis, and she received 524 votes. Additional member number 37 is Muloi Onika, and she received 518 votes. Additional member number 38 is Morule Tankiso, and she received 514 votes. Additional member number 39 is Kekana Pinky Sharon, and she received 513 votes. Additional member number 40, the very last additional member of the ANC Women's League, is Mkhunu Tembeka, and she received 493 votes. Comrade President, these are the results from the election subcommittee of the ANC Women's League conference. And once more, we would like to express our appreciation to the leadership of the ANC Women's League. Would like to express our appreciation to all the members of the subcommittee, the electoral subcommittee, the CEO of the elections agency, the observers who worked day and night, the staff of the elections agency, the security and the marshals who secured us 24/7. We want to say thank you very much. And the caterers, and I'm sure we've gained 1 or 2 kilograms because we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We needed that energy, comrades, because we hardly slept. If we did sleep, it was 2 to 3 hours. We gave each other tens to sleep because otherwise we would fall down. Comrade President, allow me, therefore, we thank the members of the media as well for informing the nation. Allow me, Comrade President, to hand over to you the results of the leadership of the ANC Women's League Executive Committee. And thank you very much once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade President, Comrade Nandi, and I'm sure the leadership will once again echo their congratulations to all newly elected members of the National Executive, the full complement of the National Executive Committee of the ANC Women's League. Can I hand over to you now, ladies and gentlemen of the media? I'm sure you don't have questions, but I'll give you that opportunity. Can I see by a show of hands? Let me start here with Sisanda, then Busi, and then Budi. I'll come back for a second round. Sorry, can we close that door, please? Sisanda, you may proceed. Yes.
Good morning to the leadership, and thank you very much, Sisanda. My name is Sisanda Mbolegwa from the Sunday Times. I just have 2 questions. The first is that the former president of the ANC Women's League was quite instrumental in launching and supporting the Young Women's Desk and the LGBTQIA+ desk in the league. Will the new leadership also continue with those initiatives and will they support these desks of the league? And secondly, the party structures speak a lot about renewal, and I suppose renewal means the inclusion of young people in its leadership. Do we have the figures of the percentage of young women who've made it into this NEC? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lucy?
Busi Chibombo, SABC News. My first question is a follow-up on my colleague's question. Just in terms of, from a preliminary point of view, can you give us an idea of how you've analyzed what this NEC looks like from a kind of age perspective, also from a geographical mix? How does it look from the different NEC members from across the country? If you could just give us a preliminary idea of what's happening there. The second thing I wanted to find out is, when are we going to find out what your vision as the president is going to be, Mayor Tolashe, because we were not able to hear from you because of the time constraints. When are we going to be able to get a vision of what your presidency is going to look like? The final question is, I wanted to find out the Northwest, what eventually happened. We know that there were registration problems around that particular delegation. How did it actually pan out in terms of people being able to be registered from that province and who actually voted?
Thank you. Yes, sir?
Alpha Ramushwana here from Eyewitness News. Sisanda already asked a question that I wanted to ask, but I want to find some clarity whether or not Bateli Damini was nominated for running for additional members. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can I invite the President maybe to speak on the issues of the youth? Yes?
Sorry, just one last thing. I wanted to find out, in terms of your policy resolutions, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong, there was an idea that you would be pushing for a 6th position for the national officials. Is that going to happen during the second installment of your reconvening?
Thank you. Once again, thank you very much, Comrade Kusela, the chair of the session. Thank you from the media houses, your questions. First and foremost, we are an organization that is being guided by its constitution. And in our constitution, up until we get to the conference door, we had 5 constitutional officials, which is the president, the deputy president, the secretary, the deputy secretary, and the treasurer. Any other additional position was to be informed by the constitutional amendments, which there were none in the conference. Secondly, the Young Women's Desk. It has always been in the ANC Women's League concept to establish that. It was resolved in our 12th National Conference in Bloemfontein, wherein a team of comrades was established to conceptualize and document, and that team was led by Comrade Vui Swatulelo, the former Secretary General of the ANC Youth League, as well as Comrade Maruping, who at the point we were going to the conference was a national coordinator. What a good kind of relationship, because she became the coordinator whilst she was a team that established, conceptualized the issue of Young Women's Desk. It was then agreed in the 12th ANC Women's League National Conference in Bloemfontein. Then the leadership that assumed the position established it. It was led at a national level as well as in all 9 provinces. So that was the case insofar as the Young Women's Desk, which we really celebrate that, because it worked very well for the ANC Women's League insofar as recruiting young women and brought them into the body of the ANC Women's League, but also to give energy into local government elections as well as national elections that we had in 2019. Even if you look at the NTT, we had a sizable number of Young Women's Desk. On how we can assess the NEC body, we've just received the results only now, unfortunately. So we can only be able to do that after having now received. We'll sit and do that analysis. My vision as the president will be informed by the outcome of the National Conference of the ANC Women's League. I've always been a member of the ANC Women's League since unbanning. I, to an extent, understand the ANC Women's League. However, in that understanding must be informed by what the ANC Women's League seeks to achieve under the circumstances. We're coming a long way. There were shortcomings. However, there were a lot of groundbreaking decisions and achievement which we must build from in going forward. So the last leg of the National Conference shall inform what we would want to achieve as ANC Women's League. I guess the top 5 that we have already is capable to steer the ship to that direction. Thank you so much. I'll allow SG to respond and the team to respond to other questions. Thank you very much, Comrade Chair.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm stuck. I miss Lutuli House. I want to move the microphones to the SG. Thank you.
All right. Good morning to everyone, and also to the viewers from home. I will focus on mainly, maybe it is important of us to rather appreciate and also talk about the importance of the role that played by the former president of the Women's League, Comrade Bathabile Dlamini, on the role and the importance and the relevance of the Young Women's Desk. As it was said by the president, that it's an idea, a concept that was adopted in the conference of 2012, the national conference, what is important is to ensure that when there's a new leadership elected, nothing is unattended, left by the former leadership. So it is important of us to appreciate that programs that the elected leadership of that time find in the office was implemented moving forward, because it was a decision, or rather a resolution taken from the conference, and it becomes then a responsibility of any leader that comes to the office in ensuring that those programs, they are implemented moving forward. So we appreciate that indeed it happened, and I guess there was enough time to do that, and in ensuring that it's being marketed, and it showed the interest of young people from our country, because indeed it became a very vibrant component and the constituency of the Women's League. And I think the young people, they did find some expression and resonates well with the idea of the Young Women's Desk being introduced by that conference of 2019. So that indeed we really appreciate, but it has to be corrected, President, the impression that the Young Women's Desk, it's something that came at the time. It is indeed a resolution of 2012 National Conference of the Women's League, and we'll continue taking care of it and ensuring that they do get space in everything that we do, because remember, for one to be a member of or serve rather as Young Women's Desk, you must be a member of the Women's League. It's not as if it's a structure outside of the Women's League. Those are members of the ANC and members of the Women's League. So you are identified, and appreciating the fact that as we move forward, then there's an issue of evolution even within our organization, and we tend to be a younger nation, and indeed we felt the importance of having a desk within the subcommittee of the ANC Women's League that will cater for that and give that expression to the world, or even to our South African young women, to find interest of why they should also form part of the ANC Women's League, as of what was, understood previously, that maybe it is for a certain group within our society. So we needed to introduce it in ensuring that everyone is actually catered for within our space.